Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are looking at a landmark patent case that isn't really about the gears and bolts of a machine. It's about the liquid inside it.
That's right. We're diving into a legal fight over a beverage dispenser that uses, well, basically an optical illusion to drive sales.
And the big question is what happens when someone copies that illusion? Who gets paid for what?
Exactly. The mission today is to break down a really critical ruling. It's all about how courts define a functional unit when they're calculating lost profits in patent law. It sounds technical, but it completely changes the game.
Okay, so let's lock down the specifics. What's the case we're dissecting?
We are getting into Juicy Whip, Inc. v. Orange Bang, Inc. This was a major decision from the United States Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit.
And when did this happen?
The decision was handed down on September 3, 2004. The case number, for anyone wanting to look it up, is 03-E-09.
And it was an appeal, so it came from a lower court.
Yep, it came up from the U.S. District Court for the Central District of California, where Judge Audrey B. Collins was presiding. The judges on the Federal Circuit panel were Circuit Judges Newman, Lynn, and Lori, who wrote the opinion.
Got it. And who are the main players here?
You had the plaintiff, Juicy Whip, Inc., and they were appealing. On the other side were the defendants, Orange Bang, Inc., along with a few others who were all collectively just called Orange Bang.
And I imagine they had some top-tier lawyers for a fight like
Oh,
this.
absolutely. Ernie L. Brooks argued for Juicy Whip, and Jeffrey A. Schwab argued for Orange Bang.
Yeah.
And, this wasn't their first time in court. The ruling calls this the latest appeal in the lengthy litigation.
All right, let's talk about the invention at the heart of all this.
Yeah.
U.S. patent 5,575,405 pen. It's a beverage dispenser, but the magic isn't in how it mixes the drink, is it?
Not at all. It's a post-mix dispenser, which is pretty standard. It mixes syrup and water right when you order.
Okay.
But the genius, the patented part, is this big transparent bowl that sits on top.
And it looks like it's just full of this delicious swirling beverage ready to go.
Exactly. But it's an illusion. The bowl only holds a small amount of the final drink just for that visual effect. The real mixing happens out of sight. That look is what the patent says induces sales.
It's psychology, not just engineering. They patented a marketing tool that's part of the machine.
Precisely. And that setup led to years of fighting in court.
So walk us through the timeline. How did we get to this 2004 appeal?
Well, this had been going on for a while. Juicy Whip had already won a huge appeal back in 2002. Back then, the Federal Circuit had to reverse a judgment that said their patent was invalid.
So the patent was declared valid. That sent it back to the lower court to figure out damages, I assume.
Right. And on remand, the jury did find that Orange Bang had infringed. They awarded Juicy Whip damages of just over $643,000.
That sounds like a lot, but Juicy Whip thought they were owed more.
A lot more. Their argument was, hey, we didn't just lose sales of the dispenser, we lost all the future sales of our syrup that would have gone into those dispensers. And that's where the real money was.
So that's the core legal issue then. Did the district court make a mistake when it stopped Juicy Whip from claiming lost profits on all that unpatented syrup?
That is the multi-million-dollar question.
Yeah.
It all hinges on something called the entire market value rule.
Okay, let's unpack that. What was Juicy Whip's argument?
It was actually pretty straightforward. They said, look, there's a clear functional relationship here. But for Orange Bang copying our dispenser, we would have sold not just the machine, but all the syrup that goes with it for years.
They're selling a whole system, not just a piece of hardware.
A beverage sales system, exactly. And the syrup is what makes the system's key feature, that visual illusion, actually work.
So what was Orange Bang's counter to that? It seems pretty logical.
Well, their argument was also pretty common sense. They said the dispenser and the syrup could be used independently. You could put a competitor's syrup in the dispenser, right?
Yeah.
And you could mix Juicy Whip syrup in a pitcher if you wanted to. So they argued there's no real functional unit here. They're just sold together for, and this is a quote, convenience or business advantage.
And the district court actually agreed with that logic.
It did initially. The judge saw that the items could be sold separately and that you could swap out the syrup and concluded, well, they aren't functionally connected in the way the law requires.
So the judge was thinking of it like a printer and ink. You can buy third-party ink, so the printer company can't claim damages on all future ink sales.
That was the logic, yes.
Huh.
But the Federal Circuit said that was a fundamental misreading of the law.
Okay, so let's get to the holding. What did the Federal Circuit decide?
They delivered a really clear message. They vacated the lower court's decision to deny lost profits on the syrup. They set the case back down, and basically ordered the court to let Juicy Whip try and prove those profits.
And they called it an error of law, which is pretty strong language.
It is. It means the judge didn't just get the facts wrong, they got the legal test itself wrong.
So let's get into that reasoning. Why was the district court's focus on the fact that you could use other syrups the wrong way to look at it?
Because the Federal Circuit said you can't just look at the parts in a vacuum. The syrup wasn't just some optional accessory, it was essential. Essential to the patented feature of the machine.
The illusion.
The illusion, the whole reason the patent exists. The court leaned very heavily on a major precedent here, a 1995 case called Right Height Corp. v. Kelly Co.
And what does right height say?
Right height is what established that you can get lost profits on unpatented parts. If, together with the patented part, they form a functional unit.
So the Federal Circuit is saying the dispenser and the syrup together form a single functional unit.
Precisely.
Yeah.
They said the syrup functions together with the dispenser to produce the visual appearance that is the whole point of the patent. Without the syrup, the patented feature is useless.
It's just an empty bowl.
It's empty bowl.
Hmm?
The machine can't induce sales if it's running water through it. The syrup provides the color, the look, the appeal. That's the function.
So the test isn't physical connection, it's functional purpose.
You've got it. The court was very explicit about this. They said, it doesn't matter that you can use other syrups. That limited interchangeability doesn't break the functional relationship. The real question is, do the two items have to function together to achieve one result?
And in this case, the result was that visual sales pitch.
Yes. And this ruling has huge significance. It draws a very clear line. For years, infringers could argue, well, I just copied the machine. I don't owe you for the generic consumable it uses.
But this says no. If that consumable is what makes the patent valuable, you owe for that too.
It redefines the whole system.
Mhm.
And they pointed to other cases to back this up, like Tech Air, which was about fans and radiator assemblies, and FestoCore, about accessories for cylinders. In every case, the unpatented part was necessary for the patented part to do its job.
That really does raise the stakes in patent law for any system that has a consumable component.
It absolutely does. It protects the full commercial value of the invention.
Now, Juicy Whip won big on that point, but the appeal had other parts to it. They also wanted enhanced damages, right? Because Orange Bang was found to be a willful infringer.
They did. But on that point, the Federal Circuit sided with the lower court. They affirmed the denial of enhanced damages and attorney's fees.
Wait, how does that work? If the infringement was willful, meaning they knew what they were doing was wrong, why wouldn't damages be increased?
Because the law says a finding of willfulness just authorizes the judge to increase damages. It doesn't mandate it.
So it's still the judge's call.
It's still the judge's call. The judge has to look at a whole list of factors from another case, Reed v. Portek. And here, the judge pointed out how complex this case was.
What was so complex?
Well, for one, the jury took 4 days to deliberate. That signals a tough call. In the previous appeal on the patent's validity, that was a split decision from the panel.
Ah, so it was a close question even for the experts.
Exactly. So the judge decided that, given the closeness of the questions, punishing Orange Bang with enhanced damages wasn't appropriate. And the Federal Circuit said that was a perfectly reasonable exercise of discretion.
A good reminder that winning on infringement doesn't guarantee a massive payday. There was one last thing, wasn't there? Juicy Whip wanted a new judge.
That's right. They asked for the case to be reassigned on remand. They claimed the judge had disdain for their invention.
And how did that go over?
It was declined. The court said you need unusual circumstances for that, and they just weren't present here. Plus, the judge had been on this case for 7 years.
So reassigning it would have been a huge waste of time.
A massive waste of judicial resources. The court said her familiarity was actually a good thing.
Okay, so after this whole legal marathon, what's the single most important takeaway we should get from Juicy Whip v. Orange Bang?
The key takeaway is this. The idea of a functional relationship under the entire market value rule is much bigger than we thought. It's not about whether two things are bolted together. It's about whether an unpatented item, even a consumable like syrup, is necessary to achieve the core effect the patent is designed to protect.
So if the unpatented part is what generates the demand for the whole system,
Then you can recover lost profits on it. It becomes part of the protected invention for damages purposes.
that really shifts the focus from just the physical object to the whole experience a patent creates. It recognizes that the real money isn't always in the one-time sale of the hardware.
It's in the recurring revenue stream that hardware creates. And this ruling says that revenue stream deserves protection.
So a final thought for you to consider. The next time you see a product that requires a specific refill, a coffee maker with its pods, a printer with its ink, a medical device with a cartridge. Think about this case. The law has had to evolve to protect the value of that entire system. The patent might be on the device, but the real commercial power, the lesson from Juicy Whip, is in controlling what goes inside it.
A powerful thought indeed.
That's all the time we have for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.